Hi, I'm Joy.
And I'm Coley, and we're the hosts of the Ain't Gonna Hurt Nobody podcast, where we talk about life,
love,
and everything in between.
Do us a favor and follow us on Instagram, like our Facebook page, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Ain't Gonna Hurt Nobody.
Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Welcome to the show. Ain't Gonna Hurt Nobody podcast, episode 33.
Oh, wow, we getting up there.
Yeah, this is our Scottie Pippen. My name is Coley Blake, for those of you that don't know.
And my name's Joy Blake, his wife.
And we're your tour guide for today's episode.
Tour guide through life.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're proud to say this will be our final episode of 2022. So we're gonna do something a little different in freestyle. So even though we're freestyling, we still have a little bit of structure, but normally we have a pretty tight outline to make sure we're concise and get our points across. So today, we're just going to be out here in these streets.
Just chatting it up.
Some chatty Cathy's is what they call
Oh, yeah. That's what you got to do, yeah.
Oh, that dang Wisconsin State Fair accent there, eh?
Yeah, that's where I'm from.
Ooh. So, we end every show with a little segment called Things We Wish We Would Have Known. So this whole episode is going to be about things we wish we would have known or things we learned in 2022. So with that, we got 5 points, but it might be 6, might be 7, because when you're freestyling, these bars come to you, you don't stop.
You're following a handwritten random thing you just did.
Yeah. You don't stop just because you said 5 on the top. You might have 7, you might have 8, but we're going to get into it just because we learned a lot this year, as we all do every year. And some of these things, we've known, but we've really, really got to understand their importance and their value. And some of these things you might be like, well, no, duh, you idiots didn't know that. Well, no, we didn't. So
the answer is no.
Yes, or we haven't applied it. We forget about it. Yes. But number one, there is no one-stop shop for all of your professional therapeutic needs. What we mean by that, we all have seen, especially over the last 5 years, I would say, the value in getting help, going to counseling, whether it's individual counseling or couples therapy. But the reality is there's no one source that has it all. Our couples counselor can't be our individual counselor.
Yeah.
We absolutely learn our couples counselor cannot be our financial counselor. We're also learning that our financial counselor cannot be our couples counselor. Just in the same way, you have your doctor that you see regularly for your physicals. You have your primary care physician. That doesn't mean they're a heart surgeon. You go to specialists. You need to find people who specialize in things in order to make your stuff better, your life better.
Yeah, and I would just to build on that, it's just like there's, like you're saying, there's no one-stop shop for intimacy issues, social issues, emotional issues, financial issues, health issues. Like some people, just our therapy journey, just to further explain, pretty much started kind of in 2016 because I started to go to individual therapy as I realized, I think I might have postpartum depression. And then from there, that kind of, my individual therapist, referred me to a couples therapist. And I'm thankful because some therapists do try to do it all, but they were just like, yo, you and your husband need to go and address this. This is an individual issue. And they that's what helped me to start to learn to separate the two. And then when we did go to couples therapy, which we've been going for some time now, and that's a good thing also, something that to me I learned is it's important to continue to go. Don't just go when you're at the dire straits about to kill each other. It's something you have to continually work at, especially if you didn't have the example from your parents. It's like a constant thing you have to work on, just like you have to work on yourself constantly. So go in the good times too. You can always talk about your vision for the year, your goals. There's always something to talk about in counseling. So I will say that. But primarily, this year was the first year we went to someone separate, for financial like our financial counseling, and that person too, like any emotional stuff that comes up, they be like, you need to go to marriage. They literally be saying, so I don't know if that's a new slogan between the therapists, but like every therapist we see, they be like, yo, you got to go here for that. I'm just here to crunch these numbers or whatever it may be. But I agree with Coley that something that we both learned this year is there's no one-stop shop. And like sometimes if you're struggling in your relationship or in life, first get yourself checked out. I mean, to me, that's where it really starts because you can't change any other person, point blank period. You just can't, no matter how much you wish you could, you pray you could, or whatever you doing, like, you can't. So it's like, what can you change within yourself? So either get a life coach or a personal trainer or whatever you need to do to get yourself in order. And then too, like, put other stuff into buckets. Like even this year was the first year we got help. Like I got that young Task Rapid. I got the Tasker to come out and they like fixed our closet. In the past, I would just be like bitching at Coley, like, fix this closet. He would be like, I don't know how to fix stuff. And I'd be like, why? But in this case, it's like, let's just pay somebody. Like, let's just get it done. Like, there's different buckets for everything. Like, we used to argue about cleaning up the house. Now, get a cleaning lady. Like, it's buckets for some of the some of the stuff you got. There might be a solution that doesn't involve, like, biting your partner's head off. So, like, there's no one-stop shop. But try to find a shop for each, like, problem, I guess.
Well, I just want to draft on one of the things you said there, right? So you said just pay for it, right? But that goes back to the financial counselor, right? Like well, how are we going to pay for it? But I think, one of the things you see, you always hear more money, more problems. If you're, think we're fortunate enough right now to have employment situations that keep us busy. And because we're busy and work long hours, and then we have young kids while working these long hours, things in the house might fall apart or might fall to the wayside to become less of a priority. Those dishes, you look up, instead of having them done every night, every other night, you look up, it's done maybe twice a week. You don't wipe down the bathroom in the same way as you do, just to the bare minimum. All of that stuff becomes less. And so you bring somebody in, like you said, we had a closet shelf that just fell. It just fell, and I just let it lie there. I was like, fuck
it. For an extended amount of time.
Yeah, what can I do about it? I'm tired. I'm going to go to bed. These kids got me worn out. This boy got to be at the bus stop at 6:50. So what we talking about this shelf for right now? But like you said, you find solutions and ways to get it. But like you said, like, I can't be the one source to fix everything in the house. Joy can't be the one source to fix everything in the house. We have to spread it out. I think the other thing I wanted to make within this, and it's going on a tangent. So everybody come on for the ride. But as getting, like, mental health and couples help, and really socializing the fact that a lot of people do this, I think what's happening is we're seeing that counselors are getting more business than they ever have in their life. That's the one thing with our counselor. His availability was always open. Now you have to schedule it X amount of weeks out. He's opened 2 new offices, since really in the last year, really since COVID, since that popped off. And he always would say, yeah, we're talking about financial services. That's something I'm going to get into. Guess what? He doesn't need to do that because he doesn't need to chase new revenue sources. Like, that always sounded like a good idea, but just doing his core competency and expanding that has created enough money for him where he doesn't need to focus on that. And it kind of forced our hand to go find that help in and of itself, because these financial counselors, that's also expanding now, because financial literacy has become like something that's spoken about more and more. There's more and more podcasts. The whole crypto boom came, right? So you're seeing more specialization and expertise becoming available, right? Before, finding these services were hidden. Now you call the little 1-800 number on the back of your insurance card at work or whatever, what have you. You can find these services. They might not be completely free.
Assistance.
Yeah, employee assistance programs. So they're not just, I need mental health, like those employee assistance. There's all sorts of services. So as a proliferation of these services has expanded, like, so has the access to them. I'd also tell you guys this: if you stop going to your counselor, as we did for 4 months, which apparently we got kicked off the list and we had to do all new intake forms, which, I was happy to fill out, which I thought was a little aggressive. Like we weren't done, but I think that's something he has to figure out now that we're back, or I don't know if that meant something, but yeah, they're getting more business, so they're more apt to tell you to go someplace else. Whereas before, I feel they were trying to
do it all,
keep everything under their umbrella, and they don't need to anymore, right? Because insurance is covering this shit now and all that other stuff. So again, there's no one-stop shop for all your professional, emotional, social, family needs. There's no one-stop shop for that. Like, go out there, expand your wings. The stuff is out there. You can find it, and it's affordable.
Yeah, and I would just say that, like, stay consistent. Like, that's, I would say, what I did learn, because it's like, because these therapists is so busy, you ain't really got a lot of time. Like, we got kids, you got an hour-long session, which they low-key be cutting at 50 minutes on the regular. If you late, it don't matter. They finna cut that session at 50 minutes. And then the last 10 minutes, they going to talk about when you going to schedule the last appointment.
So or that next check.
Yeah. So, like, you don't want to, like, let your problems build up, because it's going to take you forever to get to every problem. It's just, like, go consistently. It's not going to hurt. You're always going to have something that you could work on. Yeah. So, like, don't let it build up. Just, like, do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, with that famous catchphrase, just do it, to wrap up point number one, let's go on to number two. And number two is simple. It all balances out. Joy, let's look in the camera together and say it together on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. It all balances out. At first, I thought that was something Joy would just say when I had to do something I didn't want to do, because she was going to go out and kick it and I had to sit at home with the kids. But just recently, I went out last weekend. I can't even remember where I went. And then I get a call from Joy letting us know that our 7-year-old son threw up in her car. And I'm just thinking to myself, woo, that could have been me. But it really does balance out, because, she had a string of events where she was out and I was with the kids. And, I'm not saying that you deserve to have your car thrown up in, but the reality is, like, that became something you now had to deal with. So, like, in the spectrum of task in a marriage, it balanced out, right? Like, you had to deal with that. I deal with my own thing, my own things with the kids or whatever. It balances out.
Well, I'm going to have to give, now this is my tangent, I'm going to have to give my side of the story with it all balances out, because Coley gave a super politically correct answer. But basically, whenever it was Coley's turn to do something, he would be like complaining. Like, I would have to hear about, oh, you're going out. Like, first of all, my stuff would be on the calendar months in advance. You would know what time the stuff was. You would know where I was going. Now, Coley on the other end, for all the wives out there, you know this is true. What I'm saying, Coley's stuff would be the same day. Like, the same day he would be telling me about an event.
So?
He would be like, it wouldn't be an advance notice whatsoever.
So?
Then he would go out at night and be like, well, since I'm going out in the evening while you're asleep, this will not impact you whatsoever. It impacts you, because you still got to get up in the morning when the kids are throwing up, boo-booing on themselves, peeing in themselves on the night, scared in the night. Who got to deal with the kids? The person who's at home. And it would just be like a long, drawn-out ass argument all the time. Like, when I would have an event, for some reason, Coley would want to do something. So anyways, we would have these long, drawn-out arguments back and forth about these events. And it primarily only came up when it was Coley's time to do something. So I came up with it all balances out as a response. I was like, I'm tired of arguing about this. I feel like this is kind of making us like dread going out, because he started to dread going out because I would be complaining. I started to dread going out because he would be complaining. And then it would kind of like tarnish us going out. Whereas in the scheme of it, like, when you really do look at it, it can eventually all balance out. Like, if I do bed 3 nights in a row, like, maybe he gets them in the morning. Like, sometimes I feel when you're in a relationship, it's easier to focus on like what the other person is not doing. This is the moral of the story. You focusing on what the other person is not doing instead of focusing on what they are doing. And when you do start to focus on what they actually are doing, you start to notice, oh, this does balance out because, okay, I cleaned the whole kitchen, but Coley shoveled the whole front of the house. Or I put the
And the back.
Or I put the kids in the bath 3 nights in a row, but I'm going to be at my chapter meeting with my sorority for a good 6 hours. So it's going to like even out a little bit more. But I do think that it's important to like speak your boundaries early on and like what you need and you don't need, because that will help it balance out. Because if you're feeling like it's imbalanced, again, it kind of can come back to you, because it's like, are you specifically saying what you need? Are you setting clear boundaries with your partner? Are you making assumptions instead of finding out what's actually happening? In those situations, then if you're doing that stuff, like the scale is going to start to be uneven, but it's like, what can you do to like balance it out?
And I also think too, it does draw awareness, hopefully, for your partner. If there is an imbalance or a perceived imbalance, so you can focus on what the other person is doing, right? I think, candidly, like I would have a problem because Joy, even though it will be on the calendar, it would be a Friday night event followed by a Saturday, call it morning into late afternoon, evening event. And then she wanted to do family stuff Sunday. So I was like, well, where did my weekend go? So it wasn't about really where did my weekend go. It's understanding that it was like bringing this up to Joy, and then she would come up with ways that we could like literally balance it out, because she's like, oh, well, if I'm going out Saturday, when I get home, you can cut out, or I will put the kids down so you don't have to worry. So if you just want to sit here, do whatever, you can. If you want to cut out, you can, right? I think it became a matter of like calling out the equities versus focusing on it. It became an exercise of calling out the equities that existed in the relationship versus the perceived inequities, just because in the moment it might not feel right. I know she, I'm not going to go back and forth with her on the accuracy of the account she gave of me complaining, because it really doesn't matter, right? Because at the end of the day, when you do the math, it really does balance out in a good relationship, which is what I feel we have. Don't get it twisted. There are imbalanced relationships, and those are the ones we tend to see break up, and we're never surprised by those because you can kind of see it coming. But when you, it's funny when you complain to people about what's going on, they're like, well, that's it. That's your problem. You could tell like there's some equity that's happening there, and equality happening. So it all works out. So point number 3, things we wish we would have learned, things we wish we would have learned before 2022, or things we learned in 2022. You can't control everything or everyone. So I'll let Joy kind of take it to the hill with this one.
Well, I think that point still builds into the other one, because it's like you can't control someone's response. You can't control like how they react. You really can't. So it's like, what if I want to go to this mom brunch? What are the things that I can control to ensure that I'm going to have a peaceful transition and have a good time at this event? I can, if I know my husband might be tired or whatever's going on, maybe I could just get a babysitter, and like, even though he's home, like it might sound crazy or whatever, but it's like, I want to have a good time. What can I do to ensure that I will? I'm going to maybe get a babysitter for the first 2 hours so he can get a break and he can handle the next 2 hours. That might reduce some stress. Like, it's just a matter of like, what can I control in this situation? And like, what do I want to get out of this situation? I feel like it starts there. Because if you know you really want to have a good time and you don't want anything to ruin it, you need to think about the things that you can control to like set yourself up almost like for success. And now this is something I learned personally in my individual therapy, but I learned about control and that I was trying to control things I could not. And when you do try to control things you cannot, that can lead to depression, because you start to feel hopeless because what you want is not changing, but it's like, oh, I'm trying to control something I literally can't control. Let me focus on this stuff that I can control. And on the other end of the spectrum of control, you can also give your control away to others, where you're trying to appease somebody else by constantly saying yes when you really mean no, or no when you really mean yes, or not being clear with what you actually want. And that's like a way of giving away your control, which could also lead to sadness. So just like thinking about like what you can and can't control and start there.
It's funny. I think you realize you can't control me. And that's when you started saying it all balances out. No, seriously.
Yes.
No, like
You nailed it, buddy. Yeah. 20. All right. New year, new start. We're good.
Yeah. No, but I think the interesting thing about is control is like, where do you put your emphasis? Where is your focus, right? I think the thing we have all learned, like, you can lay out everything logically for someone, and if they don't want to do it, they will not do it. And you could see a bad situation, tell one it's a bad situation, and they will still do it. So you can't control people, right? Like, we've had several instances where we've created environments and we created spaces for people to, like, enjoy time with us and our family, and for whatever reason they piss on it, right? So what do? You keep it moving. You don't really have anything profound or any stories because it's really like the simplest thing on our list, but it just gives you perspective because it's been so freeing, just knowing that you can't control things. Even before my dad died, I realized I can't control what he's gonna do or what he's gonna do or what he's not gonna do, but I can control what I'm gonna do, right? And I think the times I'm realizing in life where I'm more upset about stuff is where I fell short of my own personal expectation or my own goal, right? That's the stuff that really fucks with me now. Like, the stuff I can control, when I'm not the full master of that domain, that's when it messes me up.
So you say you get upset more when it's something that you feel you could have controlled.
Correct. I didn't give it 100% to make sure I can control it, right? So it goes back to where we were talking about. Like, I could have controlled an argument sometimes if I would have just let you know about an event sooner, if it wasn't last minute, if I would have either put it on the calendar or just shot you a text and said, it might have been in my head to tell you, but then we got sidetracked and we might never talk about it. But I could have controlled that situation. It's not about you. If she would just be more understanding or more, be cool, we wouldn't have this argument. I could have controlled the narrative. Now then, if I would have did that and then you weren't cool, then I would have a better leg to stand on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that's really where you should focus on your anger, because you can control that. It's like a video game. At the end of the day, when I don't care what nobody says, when you press the button, your character is going to do what it's supposed to. There's been the rare times when I've done the perfect Ryukin in Street Fighter and it hasn't happened. But if you're hitting the buttons right, it's going to happen. If you're not doing it right, it's not going to happen, or it might happen, but it's not going to be consistent. So for the sake of consistency, it's when you focus on the stuff that you control, you'll have consistency. And that's what we say with balance, but balance just means consistency, because I think as much as we like to think we like surprises and sometimes variety, we like consistency above all else. And I think once you focus on what you can control, it's there. I can control how much water is going to go in my mouth when I put this to my lips. It's when there's a hole on the bottom, I can't control that. That's when I'm going to get upset. Oh man, because you're not even upset. You're just more annoyed. You're annoyed. There's a difference between annoyance and being upset. And I think just really adapting this mantra has helped us.
Yeah, I think for me as a parent, ironically, when you're a parent, it makes you really look at yourself damn, the stuff I'm trying to tell my own kid to do, I'm not doing I'm not doing this stuff. With my son, for instance, if he does something random and he kind of gets in trouble, the first question I'll ask him is what could you have done differently? That's what I ask. What would you do different? And then I realized to myself, well, damn, I'm not even asking myself this question. when things go wrong. Like, I feel like that's what got me going about when we were arguing about events and all that. And I started thinking like, wait, it all balances out. If I like, what can I do different? What can I control? And I feel like even if you do like slip up or make a mistake, you can still control how you treat yourself. You can control that. You can control like, okay, this is messed up. What would I do different? Okay, the next time this happens, like, yo, I'm gonna know what to do. And then you're not like beating yourself up like that, because I say this all the time. The world beats us up enough. You ain't got to beat your own self up. I learned that in therapy. Just saying.
Yeah, and it's like, we're recording this episode 2 days after Christmas, and anybody tells you, Joy loves hosting a healthy Christmas dinner. Like, when I say healthy, I mean like bountiful, like not necessarily. Yeah, it was very healthy as well.
Yes, it's
very nutritious.
It's good hodgepodge of variety.
Yeah. Anybody that knows me, I would love to just sit back, drink some whiskey, and watch basketball from 11 until I pass out. So there's a pretty tough middle ground to meet. But one thing that I know, and I can't control, is Joy is going to host a Christmas dinner one way or the other. But I can take the time. What can I do differently to make sure it doesn't get out of hand? And I articulated, some of my concerns this year. And we don't need to go into them, but I articulated them in a safe space. Joy received them and adapted them into the program. And the dinner eventually went off without a hitch. Not to say everything was perfect along the way. Not saying I didn't want to pull the plug several different times. Not saying I was 100% help. Yeah, it was a lot. But I think the point is the part I could control is speaking up about what it is. True. And if she chose to ignore, then I would have a gripe. But that didn't happen. And then in actuality, it actually helped her. She was like, oh, this is actually a lot more efficient. And also with me, like, I know she's about to cook. And every year when she cooks, she complains about our knives. So what did I do this year? I sharpened all the knives before she started cooking.
I didn't realize I do that. Them knives be dull as hell. I be like, damn, I can't even cut through this orange.
I'm not arguing. So what did I do the day before she started cooking? I took out the sharpener, and instead of saying, well, why don't she just sharpen it? I just sharpened the knives. It was a 5-minute exercise. Good. I could control that. And guess what? She probably didn't even realize she didn't complain about it. She complimented how well the knife was cutting.
I noticed it. I was like, that's when I was like, like it balances out, because he helped me sharpen those knives. I never thought of it, but it's like those are the low key things your partner might be doing. Yeah. But you be wanting them to sweep the floor or something like that. It'd be like, no, but they sharpen the knives for you so you could cook better. That was almost better than my Christmas gifts. That was a good gift.
You got some pretty good gifts though.
Yeah, he sharpened the cooking scissors, the knives. I was like, I'm killing this.
Yeah. Should show y'all how. Make a little video on how I sharpen all these things. Man, start doing household hips and tips. I said hips and tips.
Hips and tricks.
Tips and hints on how to better household. That stuff ain't gonna hurt nobody.
Sure ain't.
Yeah. But enough about that. Let's go to our fourth point. So you can't control everything except what you can control, and be mad when you fell short in controlling the thing you could control. That's the thing we really have learned and really hung on to in 2022 that we'll be carrying into 2023. But
still extend grace to yourself. You got to extend grace.
Yeah. So number 4, this notion of work is family. We're family. I've only seen one Fast and Furious movie, but apparently Vin Diesel says it a lot. So.
I don't get when people be like, we a family. I'm like, huh? Like, one, I just met your ass. 2, do you know my middle name? Like, how is we a family?
3, I can leave this family right now.
My family at home tomorrow.
I ain't got none of you. But you know what's interesting? What's interesting, because Joy, this was a point that Joy brought up via a pretty funny TikTok video that we saw. But what's interesting is you're happy. What we saw is we all saw this healthy job market that existed in 2021. And companies were happy to have you, meet your salary demands, especially, people with black and brown faces.
True.
Females, especially as well. A lot of opportunities and doors that weren't previously open. that all came there. And when you're working at home, you really felt like a family because you got to control when you saw these people and when you didn't by a simple click of the camera on, camera off button. But, as we're starting to go back to work in person, the one thing that's been consistent is we know whites are going to white. Like that ain't no other way of saying it. All that goodwill and all that them warm tingles
you tied up.
All that stuff you got when you got hired and the water mugs and all that stuff. The stuff is, it has worn off because it's just a different time. Maybe there's different expectations professionally on people up top, but those tingles have worn off, and you go in there and then you're reminded how much of family you are, and you look around, I don't look like none of you people. None of you people care about my plight no more. Yeah, I kind of cared in 2020 and 2021. Yeah. That's done.
Because I feel like I was reading an article somewhere, and I feel like this literally happened to me, but it was like talking about how black women, when they go into work, at first they're like the office pet until they become a threat. That's clever. Somebody has said, and I was like, say that again.
Wait.
As a black woman,
say that again.
As a black woman in the professional space, especially, you can cut in the beginning, you're like their office pet until you become a threat. And then you're like, but then you'll be a meeting that they'll be like, we're a family, but you'll just be like, my family doesn't. I can't even give examples. It's like your pay might be off, somebody might get promoted over you, random stuff, or they pull you from projects that you were excelling at. I just feel like in 2020 when we were remote, you're right, they did need people.
Yes.
So they were just taking.
They needed any warm body, like
they needed, in the 2021 too, because that's the first time I feel like I was seen beyond my skin. That's the first time I felt I was seen for my actual skill, because it was remote. I was hired remote. So it's it's like, I feel like the we are a family, that's the one thing I learned, like, that is not the case in the workplace. It's just a job.
Well, what you learn is, I think still one of this day, one of my favorite episodes, The 3 Types of Friends, you learn that, at work, whether they're your coworkers, your bosses, leadership, like, it's still a business, right? Like, it's about the bottom line, which, as we're all learning now, it's not just about the bottom line. It's the bottom line, right? You have your top line, you have your bottom line, but you also realize, like, people are going to make decisions for the people that they like. And so they use, the term is the family. I think it's kind of a puppet string to get you to do what you want to do, because it's this false sense of loyalty and indebtedness that you have there. Like, no matter what, you owe your mom and dad, no matter what. And so if your boss is telling you we're family, like, oh, well, I guess you did hire me. It's like, well, no, like, I chose to be on your team. I have other options. I had other options. I chose to be on your team.
You need me.
You need me just as much as I need this check. So, like, make no mistakes. Like, I am bringing something to the table. So this whole idea that, you're a work family, that's a lot. I think the second thing is, it's like, you're really friends of convenience. I have people that I work with that have transitioned to be friends beyond that working relationship, and I'm happy for those relationships, because without work we would have never met. But those are few and far in between, because there's people who I talk to, ate lunch with every day, that I have not spoken to in years. I've had traumatic life events happen, and same with them. They've had the same happen, and I haven't heard from them, right? And I'm not saying I'm always the best family member, but as a boss, always like the person in there, but. Your work is a place of doing a transaction. You are there. Your work is a means to an end, not the end.
Right. Yes. I have nothing further to add.
Yeah. Just again, like, keep your head on a swivel. If they throw that family stuff at you, it's easy to throw the family stuff at you when you have the warm fuzzies and you're having a couple cocktails. It's easy to throw that on there, but just keep in mind that time you were looked over for an opportunity, that money wasn't presented there, and there's never a reason. I will say the company that I work at now, they do a good job of explaining what they're doing and why, right? So the irony is, even though I've had other opportunities to leave, I've actually decided to stay a part of this particular family because they've explained to me why certain moves have been made or not been made, and because of that I've learned stuff, right? But I think if that learning experience has caps, like, be out.
Yeah, and at the same time, like I think some people stay at jobs longer because it's like they make you feel like without you, it wouldn't move forward, or they might like make you feel more important than you actually are, and then you suddenly realize like, oh, I'm not that important, or all the work you've been slaving at and you think you're the one responsible for all these assignments and projects, like somebody will take credit for that work like that. They will take all the credit for everything that you built just like that. So if you're not happy with your job, it's okay to leave. Like, trust me, they will move on without you. Like, if you have this false sense, like, they won't be able to make it without me. Who's going to take over this project?
They'll figure it out.
I'm the only one who knows how to do it. Like, they going to find somebody. They going to find a way.
And because you've probably been that solution when they were like, who's going to do this? How are we going to get this done? And then you come in, figured it out, and you were that godsend. So don't worry. There's reciprocity there. There's some reciprocation, but don't worry about the company's going to be okay. Like, focus on yourself, and when you do that, you'll have a clear mindset.
Like, are you okay?
Yeah, and you'll be okay, which will make you a better employee in the long run for that company. So, our fifth and final point, which is not to say we only learned 5 things we wish you would have known in 2022, but our fifth point. And we've said this probably in 2021. We got this from our counselor, our primary couples therapist. And that's attack the problem, not each other. Let me say that again. Let's say it together in the camera, Joanne.
Okay, we're doing unison today.
Yeah, we got to. This is an important one. On the count of 3.
Ready?
1, 2, 3. Attack the problem, not each other. You hit my finger when I was trying to say. Oh, you attacked me with your sword as I was saying, don't attack each other. The problem wasn't my finger. The problem, we were too close. I'm kidding. No. But no, for those that have heard us say this, right, it's very easy to be in conflict and attack the person. There's a recent incident that a lot of us saw. If you follow sports or don't follow sports, there was a Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp incident where they were going back and forth about Tom Brady being the GOAT. This year has not been Tom Brady's best season as a pro. Some would argue it's been his worst season as a pro. Shannon Sharp was making those points, and Skip Bayless got upset and started attacking Shannon Sharp as a player, which had nothing to do with the argument about what Tom Brady is doing. Skip went to, well, Shannon, at least Tom Brady's better than you. He's better than you'll ever be. And Shannon was like, I'm in the Hall of Fame. I got 3 Super Bowls. Like, what's this got to do with Tom Brady not throwing the ball in 2022? I retired 15 years ago. Skip
Not
decided to
connected,
attack Shannon, not the problem that they were talking about, right? And that's at the core of that, right? In our relationship, we have had problems, like we said, with feeling balanced, right? Feeling that the tasks in the house are equally or equitably balanced out. But we've attacked each other versus like the actual just checklist of things, making sure we got the stuff done in a timely fashion. We've attacked each other.
Yeah. Oh, no. I guess in the scheme of the scenario gave, which seemed pretty good.
Yeah.
What happened to the guy that attacked the Shannon guy?
He's white, nothing. I think a lot of people just saw him for what he is, and they're not cool with it. But I think I think it was a reminder, because it's a black man, white man. You see that situation, and you see the way he attacked Shannon Sharp, arguably one of the best tight ends that's ever played the game of football, over an argument, and the way he, kind of dressed him. I think nothing happened to him per se because it's a debate show. It's a sports talk show.
Yeah.
So it got them ratings, if nothing else. So nothing's gonna happen. Nothing should happen really to him. I think people are just looking at him sideways right now.
Yeah, like the side eye. But in the same situation, it makes you think like, oh, your argument was weak then.
Correct.
Because you're not talking about the issue at hand.
Correct.
Like, You're talking about something else, which is also
you're
that's
you're shooting
interesting.
the messenger instead of the message. Like the message, Tom Brady is not playing as well as he have played. Is he done? We don't know. But like that was Shannon's point. Skip is like, well, he's the greatest that's ever played. Well, it doesn't matter. You could be the greatest at anything. Like Kobe was arguably one of the greatest that ever played. In the end, he was done.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I just think that thing is that saying attack the problem, not each other. That doesn't have to only be a relationship thing. That could be with your friendships. That could be that still could apply to work.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and in some ways you could say attack the problem, not yourself.
Ooh.
You could put that on yourself as well. Like you're like, damn, I'm fat as hell. Like I need to go to the gym. Like you know what I mean. But it's like you're like beating your own self up.
Yeah.
Like attack the problem. But in some situations, I know for me, I've been unclear what the problem is because sometimes you might have so many issues like from the past, so much like unforgiveness or other things you're upset, and it like clouds your judgment of like what the problem actually is because you're still hurt from something that happened in the past that you ain't let go of.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And to me it's binary to point number 3, which was you can't control everything, right? Like you could be attacking, I could be attacking you, but I can't control you, right? So that it all plays together because we can control the problem about taking the garbage out, right? That can be easily controlled because now we got a son who can take the garbage out. So that problem is fixed. But I mean, that's the problem. Like nobody likes the stench or seeing garbage or just the problem might be like, you know what? I feel like I cooked all of this food. I did all of this and I'm looking at all this garbage and he had one job to take this garbage out. That might be the problem. You might feel that you had to carry the load and it was not equitable or it wasn't equal in terms of what actually had to happen for an event. Not saying, I'm just using that as an illustration, right? Like it could be as simple as that. We have an amazing podcast, right? We've gotten to arguments over like, you know, how much we should record this podcast, how much we should sometimes on the topics or how we're framing. Not too many arguments about that. Where we're gonna record, Lavardigan Studios in Beverly,
105th and Western,
right across from Nikki's.
Yes.
But you know, we'll have conversations and discussions about that. But we've never attacked each other with the podcast. It's never been we're not competitive. This is like the one thing the biggest argument is like we should be doing more content.
Yeah.
Like, and that's you know what I'm saying? So we've never had to attack each other with it. When it comes to like the household and social life and work-life balance and watching the kids, we've taken personal attacks. When it comes to people's families' involvement in certain things, we've taken attacks, right? But we control this podcast. That's why it's very easy for us not to take personal attacks at each other. We control this podcast soup to nuts. The only thing out of our control is whether or not the studio is going to be open when we want to record. And if that's the case, we find another time. But everything else on this show is in our control. That's why the tension we have on there, it's never been personal attacks on each other's character, person, or intelligence, anything like that ever with this show. And that's why I love doing it with you. Even though I'm tired, sick as a dog right now, that's why I love doing this. Right?
Oh, that's nice.
Because it's something we can control, and there's no need to attack each other about this.
Well, I think with the podcast or with anything, I think when you're talking about the trash, I would go back to that scenario. But it goes back to like you have to attack the problem and not take like stuff personal. Because like sometimes you might like have like, oh, he's not taking the garbage out because I don't matter to him. Like I'm not important to him.
I've heard that one a lot.
And he does. If I mattered to him, he would take out this garbage like I've asked. And so once you start adding in like elements to the problem of like, and it's becoming like more personal or emotional, I think sometimes too that can lead to you attacking the other person because you might be hurt. like you might be like, well, damn, like I literally cooked this full meal for everyone because I want to show them love. I need this person to take out the trash. Oh, he didn't do it. And then you go down the spiral. He didn't do it last year. He didn't do it last week. He did, you're like going in a spiral, and then you're just like attacking the person because you might be hurt. Like how they say, to hurt people hurt people. So it's like when you're trying to attack the problem, I just think it's important to remove any of the personal, emotional stuff so that you can, like, you're not foggy. You can see clearly what the problem is, and then you can also see, like, what do I really want? If it's like, I want this garbage out because it smells, and no matter who takes it out, I'll be happy about it. Then that's when I started having Chance take it out, or I'll just take it out, because it's like, what do you really want?
Yes.
So you're attacking the problem so that you can get your need met. That's what's more important than just, oh, there's a problem, but I don't know how. One, I don't know how to fix it, and I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want once it's fixed, because if you don't know what you want once it's fixed, you probably still going to be upset again.
Absolutely.
Like it's going to just keep repeating.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming up on I think that's a good, nice period to put on this one. So we're coming on time. We normally end the show with a segment called "Things We Wish We Would Have Known," but we gave you an entire show about things we wish we would have known.
Oh,
but
gosh.
Want to say, to close out 2022, this has been our most active year. This is our fourth year of Ain't Gonna Hurt Nobody.
Yeah.
33 episodes. Obviously, haven't been necessarily dropping an episode every week, every month. COVID hit, life hit. But we're proud to say the response we've been getting by our increased activity since we have been Levardigan Studio. We appreciate all the new subscribers, all the new followers, or just the new listeners, right? Definitely want you guys to like and subscribe.
Yeah, please.
If you can. But very proud of this product, and we're looking forward to bigger and better in 2022. And be on the lookout. To celebrate. As we go into 2023. But be on the lookout for something special for our 5th year anniversary coming out.
5 years we've been doing it.
5 years, so we got to do something special for y'all. So be on the lookout for that, and we look forward to your support.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Make the most of it.
Yeah, we love y'all all, and I'm Coley.
I'm Joy.
And we out.
Peace.